Welcome to the deep dive. For this deep dive, we're looking at a source that honestly is one of the more unsettling ones we've tackled. It's this really personal journey that blends profound grief with a kind of, well, a chillingly precise digital intrusion.
It really is. And our mission here is to go beyond just, the plot. We're digging into what happens when a man who's been in this emotional limbo for 5 years gets forced into a confrontation. Not by a person, but by a mysterious playlist that seems to know his deepest, most hidden guilt.
Yeah. So the big question for you to think about as we go is, what's the psychological price when your attempts to move on are mixed with something that knows you impossibly well?
So let's set the stage. For 5 full years, this narrator is just. He's in a state of suspended animation. Everything is defined by the space Emily left behind.
Right, and he talks about his sister, his coworkers, all trying to push him towards dating or therapy, but he describes it as feeling perpetually rushed, like he needed permission from someone or something to just pick my feet up.
Exactly. He says he had to keep people at a distance because letting anything real in felt like something would break open.
And that feeling, that stasis, is what really drives his grief. The way he sort of externalized this avoidance is fascinating, though. This ritual he had.
The visits to the grave.
The visits to the grave. He calls it this same turnoff just past the tree line. He'd bring coffee, sit in the grass.
And just talk. He even admits it was a pretense.
Yeah, a selfish but nice act, he says, pretending they were still together. But that routine, isn't that what kept him stuck, that illusion?
It absolutely was. It was a psychological loop. It gave him the connection he craved, but also the emotional distance he needed to feel safe. He knew on some level there was no version where Emily and I worked anymore.
But he kept up the illusion.
Mm-hmm. And his therapist actually told him that stopping those visits was the first real step. But even after he did that habit, it was still in his muscle memory.
He mentions that, right? That when he'd drive past that spot on his way to work, he'd instinctively ease off the gas.
Yeah, that physical compulsion to slow down, even if he didn't stop, it just shows how deep that instinct to hold on really was.
And it's right at that point, in that deep state of suspension, that something intervenes. Enter Claire.
Claire is the return to reality. And it starts at a barbecue, of all places, a moment of total awkwardness for him, where he's just trying to figure out the exact minute it would be socially acceptable to leave.
And what snaps him out of it is Claire's laugh. He makes some dry joke, and she has this snort laugh, sharp and unexpected.
He called it the first honest sound he heard in forever.
Which is so telling. Their whole relationship just sort of develops from there with this real ease. Coffee, walks, doing things without thinking, like reaching for her hand.
That's the huge shift. He realizes he wasn't floating anymore. He was grounded, present. And all of that stability really rested on Claire's quiet grace.
The way she just left space for him, that's so key. She wasn't pushy, didn't demand to know about his past, but that stability gets tested right when they decide to move.
Oh, yeah. He hoped the move would be to somewhere new to wake up, somewhere she hadn't been. He was trying to literally change the environment to escape the memory.
But you can't, can you?
You really can't. And that's immediately undermined when Claire finds the old photo album while they're unpacking, the one he says he didn't remember packing.
I can just feel the tension in that moment. That must have been awful for him.
It's the moment of truth. But Claire's reaction is what really cements her as this healthy, stable force in his life. She flips to the picture of him and Emily, takes it in, and just makes this simple joke.
So I'm guessing she's not your cousin.
Exactly. And then she pivots right back to normal life. You want tea or coffee?
No pressure.
That soft pivot is so powerful. She gave him space, she proved she could handle his history without forcing it out of him. And that contrast between her stability and what comes next makes the intrusion feel just catastrophic.
And here's where it all shatters. The morning after Claire stays over, he's making coffee, everything's normal, scrolling on his phone, and then he sees it. At the very top of his homepage, a new playlist.
With a title designed to be jarring. You remember us, right?
It's not nostalgia mix or something an algorithm generated. It's an accusation.
Yeah.
And no thumbnail, just this weird collage of art. He probably thought it was just a glitch.
So he hits play.
And the first song is just ambient noise, filler. But then the second track starts. And this is where the dread kicks in.
It wasn't just a familiar song. It was Emily's song.
The one she used to hum all the time. He describes the feeling as totally physical, like it hit him in my chest, sharp and too sudden.
The precision is just impossible. There's no algorithm for that. And the timing, the timing is just cruel. Claire walks in at that exact moment.
And she becomes this unknowing barrier. She reaches past him, nudges his hand away from the skip button.
Say, oh, I love this one.
So he's trapped. His present, in the form of Claire, is actively enjoying this piece of his past that is screaming at him internally. The idea that this digital thing knows his secret history better than the person standing next to him. That's a profound betrayal.
And it only escalates. He goes to take a shower, probably to just wash it all away, but he takes his phone with him.
Which is such a modern reflex, isn't it? And then the third track starts, the final blow.
This is the real psychological climax of the whole thing. It wasn't just a favorite song. It was the one they joked about getting married to.
And that's it. His composure just shatters. He slides down the wall and just sits on the floor of the shower, water running over him. The guilt he's been bearing for 5 years finally comes to the surface.
When he gets out, he checks the playlist details. And that's the confirmation.
Created that morning, that single detail changes everything. The guilt floods in. Suddenly it felt like I owed her something, that I betrayed her. He goes from mourning to believing he has actively failed some kind of watchful entity.
Which is why he has to go back.
That's it. That need to visit the grave is immediate. It's a forced penance.
So he calls in sick to work, starts driving back to his old town, and in that moment, he's choosing the compulsion over Claire, over the stability he just found.
And that drive becomes terrifying. The playlist starts by itself as he's backing out of the driveway. It's not passive anymore.
And halfway there, it plays the slow song, the one from the night they danced in the kitchen after a funeral.
A memory that's so specific, so tender, where she rested her head in my chest like it was the only place that made sense. The playlist is weaponizing his own memories against him.
But then it gets worse. It goes from being a memory trigger to an active threat.
Yeah, a few miles later, the music just glitches. It turns into this distorted, horrible loop. The words are clear, though. Don't break my heart. Break, break, break.
Just glitching over and over through the speakers. And right then, he looks up and sees the semi-truck drifting into his lane.
He has to slam on the brakes. Just barely avoids it. And what's so chilling is what happens next. The silence. The music stops right after the warning. It was intentional.
And he recognizes that silence. He calls it the silent treatment, something Emily used to do.
At this point, there's no more ambiguity. He's totally clear. There was no doubt in my mind that this playlist was set up by Emily, in control of my phone. The digital ghost is real, and it's angry.
So he gets to the town, but for the first time, something inside him fights back. He has this second thought. Claire. The new life he's building, it actually challenges the compulsion. He sees Emily's intention for what it is, this unhealthy obsession, and he tries to leave. He turns the wheel to get out of town.
But the ghost isn't done. That moment of resistance triggers the final irresistible push.
The speakers just erupt. This loud, distorted song, so loud it's painful. The volume dial doesn't work. The phone is frozen.
He's lost all control. He realizes Emily knew she didn't even have to push this hard. His choice is gone. The compulsion wins. He has to stay.
He finally gets to the grave, and he's just waiting. Maybe for another song, another sign. When nothing comes, he finally does the one thing he's been avoiding for 5 years. He speaks.
It's the confession. He starts by apologizing for being away, and then he slowly, painfully, introduces his present to his past. You probably wouldn't love the idea, but Claire makes me happy, and I need that.
The line that just gets me, the one that explains everything, is when he says, holding on the way I had it started to feel more like a weight than a memory.
Yes, that's the whole story in one sentence. He wasn't cherishing a memory. He was just carrying this dead weight. And the playlist, this ghost, forced him to finally put it down.
His final plea is so raw. I know you're upset, but I'm finally getting better. And that's the trigger, isn't it? His honesty.
That's what the technology or the ghost was waiting for. The final song starts to play. Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, the song she used to hum.
And the lyrics just hit him. It's been so lonely without you here, and nothing can stop these lonely tears from falling.
It's not malice, it's loneliness. It's a digital echo of her sorrow that just needed to be acknowledged.
And his final admission, through his tears, it's all about his own avoidance. He says, I just thought staying away was helping. He realizes he wasn't healing, just avoiding. And he makes this bargain, please, you have to let me live my life.
And that's the key, speaking it out loud. The song ends. Nothing else plays. The silence that follows isn't the angry silence from the car. It's a strange feeling of peace.
The digital ghost did its job. It forced the confrontation he'd been avoiding for half a decade.
But the real resolution happens when he gets home. He texts Claire, and then he tells her everything. The songs, the truck, the conversation at the grave. He doesn't hold back.
And by telling her, he lets go of that last piece of secret guilt. He felt lighter and understood. The playlist wasn't trying to break them up.
Not at all. It was this incredibly intrusive tool that forced him to speak the truth, both to his past, to Emily, and to his present, with Claire. The healing only started when he stopped just avoiding the memory and actually spoke about his love, his loss, and his need to move forward.
It's such a powerful idea, using a familiar app to literally personify unresolved grief. The digital ghost wasn't an external demon. It was just a manifestation of his own denial, broadcast through these impossibly specific songs.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to mull over. If this technology could actually exist, a system that knew the exact timing, the precise content needed to trigger your deepest unresolved feelings, to force a confrontation, would you trust it? Would you let it guide you toward healing, or would you destroy it for invading the absolute privacy of your own heart? I mean, what price is too high for genuine emotional closure?